The Oregon Ducks are ready for prime time, and that means they're ready for the Big Ten and a deep college football playoff run. I'll tell you why right here. Locked On Big Ten starts now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and I'm a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. So we're going to look into this Oregon football team here. I think they could be something special this year. They are ready for prime time. We have some quarterback portal news at Iowa. And speaking of Iowa, how many jerseys do you think Caitlin Clark is going to sell when she joins Team USA for the Olympics? That's a possibility. But right now, let's get into it. I want to talk about the Oregon Ducks today. I do think they're ready for prime time. I do think they're ready for the Big Ten. And teams usually don't take a step forward after losing a starting quarterback to the NFL draft like Bo Nix. Of course, that's exactly what's going to happen for Dan Lanning as he has to now continue this team, which was pretty good last year with a new quarterback and a new conference as they officially joined the Big Ten. Meanwhile, Bo Nix will be drafted this week by the NFL. So, new quarterback transfers. Dillon Gabriel, a lot of headlines around this. Also, Dante Moore coming in as well. They'll battle for that QB1 spot here this spring, which promises to garner a lot of attention inside the national media spotlight. I think Lanning is looking for somebody with some speed and some footwork and can throw the ball, all the in the intangibles, the leadership, all that. He's liked what he has seen out of both guys so far. Still, replacing Bo Nix's production will not be easy after he arrived from Auburn, where he was frankly mediocre for a couple of years. Something just clicked with him and Dan Lanning and the type of offense that he runs. Very safe. I don't want to say captain check down or anything, but high completion percentage. In 2 seasons, he threw for over 8,000 yards and 74 touchdowns. His completion percentage was among the highest in the country. Oregon also won a lot of football games. And if it wasn't for Washington, they would have come out of the Pac-12 for sure and maybe been in the playoffs. So Nix was very good at what he did. Again, he's going to be a Thursday or Friday pick in the NFL draft. Tough guy to replace stat-wise. But maybe, this reminds me of a situation, just maybe, this will be a situation similar to the Kansas City Chiefs a few years ago. Remember, they had Alex Smith at quarterback, one of the most efficient passers in the game. And he and Andy Reid won a lot of games together, and Smith completed a lot of passes, and it wasn't good enough, right? It wasn't good enough. So Reid brought in some guy named Patrick Mahomes that could really loosen it up and open things up. And it seemed to work out as the Chiefs took their organization to a whole new level. Now, I'm not saying that Dillon Gabriel is Patrick Mahomes. Far from it. But let's figure out if these guys, Gabriel and Dante Moore, if they could take Oregon to the next level. I mean, it's going to be Dillon Gabriel's going to be the starting quarterback here between the two. But I think it's an interesting quarterback dynamic with this team. And, there'll be plenty of comfort in knowing that Dillon Gabriel, he comes in with a ton of experience, started 3 seasons at Orlando, at Central Florida, and 2 seasons at Oklahoma. And he's already thrown for an eye-popping 125 touchdown passes and for almost 15,000 yards in his career. And he's a better deep threat than Bo Nix was as well. Much better. And he can run when he has to. Certainly, he is expected to get the starting nod here. And in fact, you could get good odds on him actually winning the Heisman. But he's got a very athletic backup in Dante Moore, former 5-star recruit as well. Look, I don't think Dante Moore is going to really challenge for this starting job, but he's interesting. He's a good person to have as a backup. and very athletic as well. 5-star recruit, spent his freshman year under Chip Kelly at UCLA. Maybe a change of pace guy once in a while if they want to do that. But interesting backup to say the least. Again, this is going to be Dillon Gabriel's job when the fall gets here. And he'll get to throw to a newcomer and wide receiver Evan Stewart. He comes to the Ducks from Texas A&M. The Aggies have lost a ton of transfers, by the way, since Jimbo Fisher got the boot out there. And their loss is Oregon's gain. And hopefully this helps replace Troy Franklin, who's off to the NFL. And Stewart joins wide receiver Tez Johnson, who's been with the program for a year already. And what a year that was, by the way. 86 catches, 10 touchdowns, and 1,200 yards. He's a big playmaker. And with a quarterback that's better with the deep ball this year, look out. I mean, if he did that last year, I think he could do even bigger things this year. But both quarterbacks and these weapons, they'll get to show everything off during Oregon's spring game. That is coming up on Saturday. But there are some other things to watch with this Oregon football team. It's not all about the quarterbacks after all. They're going to have to replace All-American center Jackson Powers Johnson. He's gone. He will go late in the first round of the NFL draft as well. So that's a lot to replace there. So keep an eye on Oregon's interior offensive line during the spring game this weekend. Same goes for the interior defensive line as well and the secondary. A couple areas. While there's a lot of talent here coming back for Oregon, a lot of transfer portal kids coming in, kind of plug and chug a little bit with the line. A lot of talent coming in, though. So that's why everybody has big expectations for Oregon, even though there's some new guys coming in as well. Look, something we always know about Dan Lanning and his football teams, they'll always have offense. I'm not even worried about the offense. I think the offense will click whether you've got new guys in there or some of the old guys coming back. Well, as we all know, the Pac-12, where they're coming from, not known for defense. But this is where I think Oregon is different. We spend a lot of time on this podcast. And if you're new to us because you're an Oregon fan and you just discovered Locked On Big Ten, by the way, tell your friends about us. We're getting newcomers all the time from the West Coast teams in Southern Cal, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. And we welcome you guys. It's going to be great. I can't wait for y'all to officially be in the Big Ten. But Big Ten prides itself on some defense, and it's super elite defense as well. For example, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, they ranked 1, 2, 3 in defense this year, not in the Big Ten, in the country. They just happen to be in the same conference and the same division last year, as a matter of fact, before we got rid of divisions. So they are elite. But this is where I think Oregon has a bit of an advantage out of the other 3 schools that are joining the Big Ten this year, because Oregon was also a top 10 defensive team. Dan Lanning, he just puts as much emphasis on defense as he does offense. And that's where I think Oregon comes in ready-made for the Big Ten. We talked about USC in yesterday's podcast. By the way, go back and check it out if you like, just yesterday here on Locked On Big Ten. And we always keep our podcast on our website, talkbig10number10.com as well. You can go back and check it out. But that's the thing. For example, Southern Cal, offense, but they've never had defense, although I think they will make a significant improvement in defense this upcoming year. We talked about that a lot yesterday on the podcast. They're not going to be great, but they just need to be a little bit better. And USC's MO was, hey, we're going to beat you 45-40 every week. Made for some exciting games, some heart flutters, that kind of thing. But that's where Oregon is a little different. They can put up 30 points, but they can play some defense. And I think that's where they fit right in. And I think they go right toward the top right away. They are going to be in the mix with Michigan, and Ohio State is loaded this year. And Penn State, they'll probably win their 10 games like usual. And I think Oregon's going to be right in there with those guys at the top of the Big Ten, fighting for a Big Ten championship. And even if you're close, whether you get the Big Ten championship or not, or if you get close with an expanded 12-team playoff, you're in. You're in. If you're in the upper tier of the Big Ten, you're in. They're going to get 3-4 teams. It'll be crazy. So lots to look forward to just this weekend of the spring game. Saturday, Autzen Stadium, 1 o'clock local time for that. And And again, just a lot of excitement for Oregon as they come into the Big Ten this year to start play. It's going to be fantastic. All right, a lot of great stuff we have to get to here. First of all, if you like what you see here, if you're brand new, if you're an Oregon fan, you haven't really discovered us yet, subscribe. Just subscribe. Click the button. It's free. That's it. And you'll be in our Big Ten club each and every day. We do this every day, by the way. You can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right. Iowa loses a quarterback to the portal. We'll tell you what's going on there. In a dicey quarterback situation, big battle royale, if you will, at Wisconsin. I don't think people expected that. I'll explain that. And we're going to do a deeper dive in that on tomorrow's podcast. Plus, Caitlin Clark might be on Team USA for the Olympics. We'll tell you how she'll get there. She missed the tryouts because, a thing called the Final Four. Can you imagine the jersey sales for Team USA if she's on that team? We'll talk about that. It's all coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL, and baseball season's going. It's in full swing. And if FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. It's $150, win or lose. So you can bet on everything from slap shots, slam dunks, home runs. It's all on an app that's very safe. It's secure. It's easy to use. You'll love it. So what are you waiting for? Your friends are doing it. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Tonight, around the NBA, Wednesday night. Clearly, I like the Celtics over the Heat. It's 14.5 points. I don't think it's too big of a number because Jimmy Butler, he's out. Got that MCL. Pelicans and Thunder. I like the Thunder at -7.5. NHL, I like the Bruins against the Maple Leafs. That series tied at 1. Some people are surprised by that. So anyway, you can't join in unless you're already part of FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Want to thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget to check out our website. It's called TalkBig1010.com. TalkBig10.com. You get merch, shirts, information, podcasts, all right there under one roof. All right, some quarterback news in the Big Ten. First of all, at Wisconsin, the story, Tyler Van Dyke transferred in from Miami for Luke Fickell and Phil Longo, the offensive coordinator. He was the presumptive starter, and he was supposed to do what Tanner Mordecai, who transferred in last year, really couldn't get the air attack going. Really wasn't that guy. So they went to the transfer portal again. They go to Miami. They get Tyler Van Dyke, who was very up and down at Miami. Except it seems that Badger veteran Braedyn Locke has upped his game this year, and he may be beating Tyler Van Dyke out of a job at the QB1 spot. This is something we're going to look at tomorrow. And we're going to do a feature story on Locked On Big Ten tomorrow, unless something else really big breaks. That's what we're planning on doing. And we're going to look at the ramification of Luke Fickell's decision-making here on whether he goes with Van Dyke or Locke. It's not as easy and as simple as you think. More quarterback news, this time at Iowa. Deacon Hill is hitting the transfer portal again after arriving from Wisconsin via the portal last spring. He's been getting most of the snaps this spring because Cade McNamara is still recovering from his season-ending injury from last year. However, Kirk Ferentz expects McNamara to be ready to go this summer with no restrictions. And Hill is doing the math. He's going, well, I'm not going to be the starter. I'm going to be number 2 on the depth chart. And he didn't want to do that. So, he played a lot. He's got some tape, mixed results. He played in 13 games last season, started 9 of them because of McNamara's injury. He started in the Big Ten championship game against Michigan. But he only completed 49% of his passes, and he threw just 5 touchdowns with 8 interceptions. So not awesome, but he He wants to go somewhere else to do it. Maybe he thinks there aren't any receivers there. Whatever. Going to go look somewhere else. That's his plan right now. And, you know, we got Cade McNamara will come back. But they also have little used Marco Linez. Maybe they're looking at the future a little bit. I don't know. But it's imperative that Kirk Ferentz get another quarterback for the transfer portal, don't you think? Especially since McNamara has had 3 injuries in 18 months. The portal's open now. We'll keep our eyes open on this situation, and we'll see what happens. Regarding the portal, Iowa has been very quiet this year on the portal. Although they've had some success in the portal, they've got a couple good players there, so they're not anti-portal. But Kirk Ferentz says that he and his staff, they've done their due diligence, and they will do what they need to do to make the Hawkeyes better during this spring portal period. So we'll keep our eyes out for any news with Iowa. Speaking of Iowa, or formerly of Iowa, Caitlin Clark continues to be in the news. We love talking about her anyway. We follow her stellar career at Iowa, and now she gets ready to embark on her WNBA career. Her jersey sales and her 8-figure Nike deal in tow. And if life couldn't get any better, there's a possibility she may represent the U.S. Olympic basketball team in Paris. She was too busy competing in the Final Four to attend the recent U.S. Training camp. So apparently, her early efforts in her WNBA career will serve as her tryout. The women's basketball roster will not be set until June 1st. So the selection committee is going to be watching her games very closely to make sure her talent matches up with that next level and whether they can extend her an invite to play for Team USA. The Olympics are this summer in Paris, and we'll see. That would be something else. All the attention and everything. Look, I presume at the end of the day, talent will lead the way, whether she gets selected or not. And I think she has the talent. But I just had a thought. If you think she sold a ton of number 22 Iowa and Indiana Fever jerseys lately, and there was the report that her WNBA jerseys sold more than the entire Dallas Cowboys team all of last year. That's what she's done with the Indiana Fever jerseys in just the last couple of weeks. Can you imagine how many red, white, and blue Caitlin Clark Team USA jerseys will sell if she makes the Olympic team? Woo-hoo. Somebody's going to get paid. So the U.S. women's team going for their 8th straight Olympic gold medal. Meanwhile, Clark begins her pro career May 14th at Connecticut, where the Fever will open their season. Hey, it's a big week in sports. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft is available for you right now. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear the local Locked On experts, who they're picking for their NFL franchises, live reactions, and local college football experts all over the place, and even a fantasy football angle in there for you. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. This is going to be fun. Middle of the week, we always have a feature at the near the end of our podcast where we have power rankings. I decided to take a stab at ranking Big Ten quarterbacks 1 through 18. It's an impossible job. Look, you've got injuries, portal, a couple guys fighting it out for jobs against each other. But you know what? We tried. Give us credit for trying. We'll see where your favorite quarterback ranks on this list. That's coming up next here on Locked On Big Ten. Monopoly Go. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on the Monopoly game you're familiar with that you played when you were a kid. You can play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards electronically, crazy locations, building up amazing cities, bringing in tons of money. You can mess with your friends. You can steal money from them, rob them, just be a tycoon all over the place. And the leaderboards will show everybody where you are and what kind of tycoon you really are with Monopoly. You can team up with your friends. You can team up against them. People all around the world you can play in timed tournaments, and you can get huge rewards. So what you need to do is get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. Again, that's Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store and Google play. Game Time. If you want to actually go to games, Game Time is the app you need to get tickets to anything. Sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, everything right there. And now it's baseball season too. They are locked into some baseball. But are you the guy that has to get the tickets for your group? That could add a little stress. But if you got the Game Time app, boom, you can look like a pro. Just a couple on your phone and boom, it's right there. You can see the picture of the seat that you just bought, everything. Just a couple taps and you're ready to go. They got a lot of great features and they got these last minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute sports, concerts, comedy, theater. It's kind of like the later you wait, sometimes the more you save. It's a pretty good deal. They got the flash deals. Save even more with an exclusive in-app deal on select seats ahead of the game or the event. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. We're going to put this up here. If you're on audio only, I'll describe it as best I can. We like to do power rankings in the middle of the week. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We'll put it on the screen, and I guess we'll just do this 1 through 18 and see what you think. This was an impossible job. I will update this as the season goes on and as we have more data to back it up. But here's how we feel right now. And I'm sure we'll get lots of comments on this. So here we go. Let's do this. All right. I'm going to put Oregon's Dillon Gabriel at number 1 in the league. Here's my thinking on this. We got a lot of question marks at quarterback with a lot of Big Ten teams, a lot of question marks. So this list may surprise you. But I think if you think about it in an orderly fashion, you will agree with me for the most part. Oregon, Dillon Gabriel, 49 starts at UCF and Oklahoma. I'm going to put him at number 1. Enjoy talking about him on today's podcast, too. Number 2, Illinois, Luke Altmaier. Made 9 starts last year. He looked really good in the spring game. This guy, I think, is in midseason form. And right now, missed some games due to injury last year. Donovan Leary is a very good backup for him, too. So they're set. Brett Bielema, very comfortable. Check the boxes. They're good to go at quarterback. All right, now I'm going to put at number 3, Wisconsin, Braedyn Locke and or Tyler Van Dyke. I don't know who's getting this job. We're going to, again, talk about this in tomorrow's podcast. There are ramifications for either decision. Tyler Van Dyke has a lot of experience, so he's in there, but I don't know if he's going to get the job. So I put Braedyn Locke in there. Penn State, Drew Aller. Drew Aller is there's a lot of you Penn State fans are going to be going, why isn't he higher? Look, I think Drew Aller, in my opinion, is regressing. He's going backwards, needs a nice bounce back year, although it's hard to say, in all fairness, a kid that went 10-2 as a starter is regressing, but he needs to work on the long ball. All right. 12 starts last year, 10-2. I'm going to put Miller Moss at number 5. We talked about him in yesterday's podcast. I'm a little uncomfortable putting a guy with just 1 start in a top 5. I mean, we can't put too much emphasis on that Holiday Bowl where he had 6 touchdowns, can we? It looks like he's going to be the starter at USC. Again, yesterday's podcast is on that. He's got some big shoes to fill in Caleb Williams. One thing I will tell you, if Moss is the starter there and Lincoln Riley is the head coach, he's going to have a lot of big stats. He's going to have a lot of 300-yard days. And so we're going to put him up here in our top 5. Ohio State's Will Howard. I got him at number 6. I've told you this before. He's very experienced, 25 starts at Kansas State. Going to have Chip Kelly working with him. And I don't say this to make Ohio State fans mad. I'm just not a fan of Will Howard. I don't think he's that accurate of a passer. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But we'll see. I'm only going to have him at number 6, and I feel like that's a little generous. At number 7, I got Iowa's Cade McNamara whenever he gets back from injury. At least he's got the experience. Remember, Deacon Hill is out as his backup in the portal as of this week. Purdue's Hudson Card, number 8. I expect a bounce back year from him in year 2 at Purdue. 16 starts in his career, 5 of them at Texas. And he threw 15 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year. He needs more, needs to improve. At number 9, I'm going to put Indiana, Curtis Rourke, their senior quarterback, transfer from Ohio. 34 starts under his belt. I think he's pretty decent. All right, here's where I'm going to get a lot of grief as well. At number 10, I got the Michigan quarterback situation. 2 days ago, we did our entire podcast on this. I don't know if Alex Orji is going to be the guy or if Davis Warren is going to be the guy based on what I saw in spring football. And regardless, Orji just doesn't have a lot of experience if he's the guy. And most of the times he came in and ran. So I can't really put Michigan any higher than 10 at the quarterback situation until I see more out of these guys and who's going to be the starter. This is where this list got difficult. Let's look at the others. I got Washington's Will Rogers at number 11. Again, big shoes to fill, replacing Michael Penix Jr. At number 12, Nebraska's Dylan Raiola. I don't know if he's going to start. I'm very uncomfortable. I could have put him last. He's a 5-star freshman coming in straight from a high school. I don't know. We're gonna, how quickly is he going to be put into the lineup for Matt Rule? They have Heinrich Harburg ready to go with some experience if they want to kind of slow the roll a little bit there. Number 13, Michigan State's Aiden Childs. Again, this one I could put a lot higher. I think Aiden's going to do very well there. He comes in with Jonathan Smith. They both transferred in from Oregon State, and they've got a veteran in Tommy Schuster to back him up, but Childs has 0 starts. Minnesota at number 14, Max Brosmer. He's a senior, 34 starts, but they were at New Hampshire. He's coming into Minnesota this year to replace Ethan Kaliak-Manis. PJ Fleck did pretty good with the transfer portal, by the way. I'll have to look into that a little more. UCLA's Ethan Garbers, 7 starts, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. A whole new deal to deal with there. Deshaun Foster, the new coach. Dante Moore left to go to Oregon. Chip Kelly left to go to Ohio State. I don't know what to expect here. Same thing for Maryland's MJ Morris. He comes in at number 16, 4 starts at North Carolina State. Got to replace Talia Tagovailoa. We're going to put Rutgers' Ethan Kaliak-Manis. He's got 13 starts at Minnesota, but he didn't do that great. That's one of the reasons he's not there. He had a falling out with PJ Fleck, and now he's at Rutgers. Look, Greg Schiano, they'll win some games. They'll be bowl eligible, 5, 6, 7 wins, maybe somewhere around there. Well, if he's 5, they're not going to be bowl eligible. 6, 7, improve on the 6 wins last year. Yeah. And Northwestern's Brendan Sullivan, 4 starts behind Ben Bryant last year. Had a good game and a win against Maryland last season, rounding it out. No disrespect. We got 18. Somebody's got to be 18. Somebody's got to be 1. This will be fluid. We'll continue doing this as we move on. But those are my initial preseason spring football power rankings for Big Ten quarterbacks. What do you think? Let me have it. Let's go. Hit me up with the comments. As always great ways for you to interact with me at X, Twitter, Talk Big Ten number 10 at Talk Big Ten number 10. Also, you can hit us up on YouTube as well with comments. You can go back and forth too if you want regarding your quarterbacks, and our website, talkbig10 number 10.com, right there. Be sure to subscribe before you go, and feel free to watch another episode of Locked On Big Ten before you go. But you can subscribe if you don't mind. A quick click and you're in. No other information. Doesn't cost anything. You can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And don't forget our friends from Locked On with Locked On Sports Today. All the latest up-to-the-date news and podcasts from the Locked On family right there. Feel free to check that out as well. Again, tomorrow, we're going to look at the Wisconsin football quarterback situation because it's very, very interesting. And keeping an eye on the portal and any other news we have. Portals open for college football and basketball. Tell your friends about us. We're right here. If you know a Big Ten alum that hasn't heard of us or haven't had a chance to watch us, tell them about us. Locked On Big Ten. Thanks for watching today. Can't wait till we talk again tomorrow. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.